Hello everybody! My name is Kikrlin, but you may also know me as Dino from PC2, and welcome to the long-awaited return of the PC division. Today with a fan favorite, especially not the driver favorite on this game, Spa-Francorchamps. Spa is a 7 km or 4.3 mile circuit containing 20 corners, 4 slow speed, 7 medium speed and 9 fast speed corners, 10 to the right and 10 to the left, making it one of the longest tracks on the calendar. IRL, this is one, if not the most famous track in the entire world. This track has hosted so many events with F1 Grand Prix, many endurance races, many open wheel races, and so much more. So this track is a track everyone wants to experience at least once or come by once in their life. And this is also one of the oldest tracks in F1. It has a fair share of difficult elevation changes, making braking very difficult if you're not prepared for it. It also has one of the most popular corners in the world, the very dangerous Rouge and Radillon, going into a steep and blind uphill section where if you make one mistake you're basically dead. That is why the track is being renovated as we speak to reduce the danger level on this track. Spa is also one of the track that was present in the early days of F1 when it just started in 1950, so it also makes it a very iconic circuit. Today commentating alongside me is of course Adam Lapidge. Now, rain is pretty common around these parts. Should we expect it to come in today's race? And if not, what are the possible strategies on the track with the C4, C3 and C2 tire combats being used?
Well, as you've said, rain is definitely a possibility in this particular corner of Belgium, in the Ardennes forest. There's a reason it's so green around here, because it rains most of the year. Obviously we saw with the real F1 last season, I'm not sure how simulated the weather is, but the whole circuit is set within a bowl. So the storm front last season floated over the track and the teams went, oh yeah, it'll move in like 20 minutes, it'll be fine. And then it went, actually, I'm just going to chill here, this seems like a nice place to be. So it sort of parked itself for about 5 hours, which is why there was no actual racing. But I don't think the game simulates that. I think if we do get weather, it's going to be similar to sort of where we get everywhere else in terms of it'll either rain all race like it does sometimes, or it will just pass through nicely. But if there is rain, you can do pretty much the whole race on a set of inters. So if you're particularly good at tyre management, you might be able to do a zero-stop race, and you should probably expect safety cars around it. It's very easy to lose the car in Sector 2. If the race does stay dry, either a soft medium or a medium soft are both very easy to accomplish. Tyre wear really isn't too much of an issue here, as long as you don't do what I did and forget to change your tyres over between your second and third runs in quali and start the race on 18% worn softs, which was not ideal. Yeah, you do not want to do that. Yeah, I mean we do have a couple of reserves running today. Some of our full-time drivers unfortunately not able to make it. Some of them not expecting a fix from Cody's have made alternative plans for this Sunday afternoon. Unfortunately, hopefully we'll see more of them back on the grid next week. So we are going to be down at just 17 drivers, which is, I mean, it's still a decent turnout, but it's not quite as high as we've had the rest of the season. But it should still give us some good races. All of the big guns, all the usual suspects have turned up. So apart from Tony, so expect to see some fights at the front, in the middle, and a bit further down the back for those that do have problems. As I say, we have got some new reserves. One of them is Fraser, who's just starting his lap now. He's standing in for the Luke Mills day for Alpine. And he just comes over the start-finish line, down into the La Source hairpin. You want to drop it down to second gear. Kind of try and stay off that inside curve, maybe clip it slightly, and focus predominantly on your exit, as it's such a long run here. In quali, you are flat out through the slightly terrifying Ero Rouge and Radillon. Radillon's completely invisible as you're going up Ero Rouge, about 180 miles an hour. And then you're on the long Kemmel straight, the second and the longest DRS zone on the track, and you come down here into the chicane of Lecom. That inside curb on that first right-hander is very difficult. Want to carry as much speed as possible through Malmedy, trying out the power early for the run down here into Rivage. Trail braking is king here. Obviously, these guys drive with no ABS. Expect to see some lockups through there as we come through the renamed Speaker's Corner. It's no called No Name. They decided to actually give it one. And then we start dropping back down the hill and twisting through this tricky middle sector into Pouon. Stay off those inside curbs. They will kill you, and they'll laugh while they're doing it in French. And then we come into Fagnes, a very quick chicane here. 5th gear the whole way through. The inside curbs, you can go on them, but they have a tendency to just sort of spit you out when you least expect it. And then we have Stavolo here, 1 and 2, onto the longest flat out part of the circuit, but it's not straight. Down this run back towards the pit complex as we flick through the double left-handers here of Blanchimont. You want to stay over to the right-hand side, make the distance as short as possible, come back over to the left, under brakes for the bus stop chicane. The inside curbs do have a tendency of unsettling the car, but you want to get a good drive out of here, get the DRS open and up to the line, and it's a 43.0 for Fraser. On those soft tyres, goes 1.3 seconds faster than Quill on the mediums. And Casper's done a 44.5 on the mediums as well. And I'm with a 43.6 on mediums. That's a really good lap to start out for the AlphaTauri driver. Currently, I think 2nd in the championship, behind Tuca, if we're not counting Drake, because he's retired.
Yes, he is. I think the gap is around 20 points, so this race is going to be kind of crucial as Namirovsky puts the pole lap time of a 1:42.4, which is going to be a pretty good benchmark for everyone else who is going to try and beat that. But I don't think that is going to remain for too much longer, as I think Tuca might be beating that in these remaining 12 minutes. But of course, we don't know the pace of everyone. We can just see that in the qualifying session and then in the race after that. So we are just going in blind, to say the least.
I'm fairly sure that 42.4 from Mark, I think that would have got pole yesterday in PC2, didn't it? I mean, that's his first lap of the session.
It probably could have, but Owen yesterday could have done a 1:42.2, but he backed out of it in the last couple of seconds, or the last couple of corners, because he wanted to save the tires for the race, and he wanted to start on the earlier tires because he knew that he secured P1 already before the finish line, so he got nothing to lose by staying out and not getting that lap time out of his head. But yeah,
I think he's invalidated his first run. Speaking about Owen, he's just in the Red Bull today, just coming through Fagnes and into Stavolo at the end of the lap. I think he's invalidated this one. He did seem to do that yesterday as well. Had a couple of issues on his medium tyre runs, invalidated some of his laps as he flies off the track at Stavolo 2 to get out of the way of some of the faster cars behind him. But we've currently only had 5 drivers set laps. It's quite an easy place to invalidate here. The track limits are fairly sort of sensible around Spa, but you really want to push it. There's 2 extremely long flat-out sections down the Camel Straight into Lecom and through this back part after Stavolo, through Blanchimont and into the bus stop chicane, where you want to run low downforce, so you're just going to lose so much time, and Lecom is definitely the easiest place to make an overtake, and if you're running high wings, you're just not going to be able to gain on anybody down there. But that means that the car has a tendency to drift wide in the middle sector, which is where most of the actual lap time is. So it's a bit of a compromise you've got to try and find here. Whereas Jacob Mikkelsen has gone 5th on the medium tyres with a 43.8. And Tuca's put it 3rd currently with a 43.1 on the softs.
Not too bad, but there is still enough time for our drivers to do a session. Like we said before, in the beginning, this lap is very long, as this is one of the longest tracks on the calendar. A 140 mark. I think the only track... I think the only track that is close to that is probably Singapore, but I'm not really that sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that are sort of up there in the 130s, but I don't think anywhere... I mean, including Singapore, really, I don't think anywhere would you be happy with a 140 anything as your pole time on a dry track, other than Spa. I mean, the distance of it is reflected in the number of laps. It's a 44 lap race for real F1, so we do 50%, so it's 22 for us. The closest to that, I believe, is Jeddah, at a 50 lap or 25 lap race. Ooh, Tuka almost lost it on his in lap. You might need to check for a change of trousers after that, because he's got completely sideways going through Fanyas. I'll be hoping he doesn't do that in the race. It takes a little bit too much inside curve. As I say, you do kind of want to do it for lap time, but it does have a tendency to just slightly murder you. So Aston Martin, very glad that he's kept that out of the wall. But yeah, I think the only track similar on length really is Jeddah, and I mean that's Monza with walls. So you actually have to brake at spot.
Hello? Okay then, looks like his internet issue hasn't been fixed yet. He probably needs to get on that before the start of the next stream, but we were currently on board with George Parr in the Hask, set a lap time of a 143.0, puts him in P2, a pretty good position for the Haas driver, but still a pretty big gap to Znana Namirovsky, who is currently leading by 6/10. Half of the field still haven't set a lap time yet, as Jonathan Foss, Yogiel, Jelinek, Crocs, Robertson and Namirovsky currently on their outlaps, and the other Haas driver is going to be entering second sector right now. And let's go on board with him to finish the lap. Let's see how he copes on board with his teammate, or what time he will be able to set, if he is going to be fast enough, and maybe try to score some points today. And I think this is giving us a pretty good moment to thank our partners. Of course, I'm talking about Boldomania, Race Insight, Discord, JR Designs, and Gridfinder. This could not have been possible without them, so thank you very much. And you are currently watching the PC Division, and PC signups are currently open. If you are currently enjoying what you are seeing, you can go in the link down in the description. There is a link for the official Ero Discord channel, and you can sign up and race with us. We have 3 PC divisions, PC1, PC2 and PC3. PC1 is of course at this moment exactly, PC2 is at Saturday 4 PM UK time, and PC3 is I think at 7 PM UK time on Friday.
Fridays.
Yes. And
Yes.
hello, yes.
It kicked me out of the lobby for some reason. Yay. This new patch is fixing desync, but it does seem to like to disconnect spectators.
Oh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
not sure why that is. Yeah. I mean, it did it to Luke 2 or 3 times. Not Luke, sorry. It did it to Quill a couple of times yesterday, I believe. Yes, I've just pulled up the standings. And Tuka, yes, if we're not counting Drake, who does still lead because he was a bit on a tear. As Ian goes fastest with a 42.3, a tenth of a second faster than Marek. But Marek is currently on his outlap, so we'll be looking to beat that when he gets around to start his lap. Just following his teammate around. Yeah, the difference at the top of the driver standings is 19 points currently between Ian and Tuka. Then quite a big gap back to Tony, who isn't racing today, unfortunately, and wasn't here for the start of the season. He's had some very good, very strong results, and Tuka seems to keep finding other people's disasters, meaning he's not been able to maximise his performance on track and turn it all into points. Oh, Marek does a 42.0, he wasn't on an outlap. I'm just lying because I disconnected.
There was also some slipstream tactics between Jelinek and Namirovsky. It's a Mercedes thing, of course. We are also using that quite a bit, because it is very fun to do, and it's very enjoyable. And it gains us time, and that's most important.
Oh, absolutely. And in terms of the Constructors, AlphaTauri currently leads the way. Jonathan Foss doing a very good job in the second AlphaTauri. He's up there within the top 5 in the Drivers' Championship as well. And they lead by 2 points from Red Bull, which is where Drake did score all of his points, so they're sort of propping those up at the moment, while Casper and Freddie get up to speed and try and maximise what they can do. Freddie, not racing today, is replaced with Owen, who's currently second in PC2, but is a very quick and competent driver. Did actually manage in this race yesterday. And then there's a gap of another 21 points back to the AlphaTauri duo. Duo? What am I on? Aston Martin duo. I can't talk today. Spent too long staring at an AlphaTauri rear wing. With Tuka and Washi Crocs, who are both racing today, so they'll be looking to maybe do some team play with both the Aston Martin guys in the race, looking to possibly close up that gap a little bit to Red Bull, and obviously hopefully to AlphaTauri as well. And, really prop up that fight in both championships. So we've still got 4 guys that haven't managed to actually set a lap time. One of which is Jonathan Foss, who's just invalidated another lap. So he's not having the best time of it so far. He's going to get one more go to see where he can put his AlphaTauri on the grid. Owen, who's also invalidated another lap, so he's just crawling his way back to the pits now. There's 4 minutes 10 left, so there is plenty of time to get in, change your boots and get back out, even with a sort of 2 minute 30 plus outlap from the moment you tell Jeff to let you out of the garage to the moment that you actually get around to start your lap. And Owen's actually going to start one now, so he's fueled the car up enough to do 2 flying laps. Jelinek hasn't set a lap either in Mercedes, but he is out on track on an outlap. And Lucas Dirksen in the Haas, who's currently on a flying lap. He's just coming up over Rouge and Radion now.
As Martin Sanchez actually finishes his lap, a 142.9 puts him in P6 right in front of his teammate, a 1/10 difference between both of them, so they are looking pretty okay in today's race to get points. And we actually see people being pretty close at Spa. There is only like a second difference between P1 and P7, but the midfield is very, very close, so I think anyone can be on the podium today. And as I said in the intro, Spa is a very dangerous circuit, so incidents are gonna happen. So we cannot really expect anything about this race.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan's in P9, he's just putting some fresh boots on to go again now. If he finds 2/10 on his lap, it's going to put him up P5 ahead of his stand-in teammate of Fraser. Lucas takes a lot of curb as he's coming through Fanyas.
And you know what is also interesting? You know what is also interesting? I think rain might be coming, but not in time. But I think after the qualifying session, rain might be imminent.
We had that yesterday. There was like 5 minutes left in the session, and Jeff's like, rain due in 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm like, cool, I don't care.
Maybe it's gonna come at this, or maybe this is an indication that in the race we're gonna have a wet race, as maybe.
But the thing as well, the thing that's going to be quite good for people, Lucas goes 3rd. That's a hell of a lap, a 42.6 from the Haas driver.
Let's see how Owen does in the Red Bull.
Get that time in, and he's done a worldie of a lap. Owen's currently P11, which, I mean, he has got 2 laps on those soft tyres, so that's probably the best place for him. It would allow him to put a fresh set on or some mediums to start the race. Yeah, Johnny is on his outlap, just coming through Stavolo, so he's going to be able to get that timing quite easily. And Mateusz Jelinek just coming through Malmedy. Gets a decent line through there, but had to back out in the middle of Lecom, so he's lost a little bit of time. Runs a bit wide at Rivage, but some people do like that sort of wider karting style line. And gets right up on the curb in Speaker's Corner and takes this esports line, puts his right tyres on the AstroTurf, which keeps you in track limits, but allows you to slightly open up Pouon a little bit more. He does get a good run there through Pouon, manages to keep it tight to the left, minimise the distance. Keeps it in 6th gear here through Fanyas, allows him to ride the curbs a little bit more, keeps the car a bit more settled. And then into Stavolo, just touches that inside curve, which has a weird dip in the middle of it. I don't know who built that thing, but then he's shooting. As he's coming now down this long back sort of straight, but not really. He's not getting a toe like he gave to Marek. Marek's just starting a lap and coming onto the Kemmel straight, so they're at opposite sides of the circuit. Mateus spotting his braking point here for the bus stop as Fraser's unfortunately crashed in Malmedy. So let's just see what Mateus manages. He goes P6. And Marek... Oh yeah, Fraser's gone well off track. So he's... sorry, no, it's not Fraser that's well off track. It's one of the AlphaTauris. It's Johnny. Johnny's gone well off track, I think, possibly avoiding Fraser. He's actually beached in the gravel on the outside of Lecom, and Fraser's car has pulled off and retired just on the outside of Rivage. Ooh. So a bit of death going on at the end of quali. They'll be hoping that they succeed the 22 laps of the race without any more of the same. Who gets a full 4-wheel drift going into Pouon, which probably isn't the quickest way to take that car.
Nathan Powers just misses out on his beginning of the lap, as I think Mikkelsen actually improves, goes to P3, which is going to give him the inside line. This is one of
the flag. I think he was just early enough. He doesn't have the flag next to his name. I think he was just early enough to start this. Like a tenth of a second he got over the line by, I think.
I don't know, but that is very interesting. We're gonna keep that in mind, as Znamierovski has crashed into the finish line, so he is not going to be improving, and he only lost a second of that, so I can just imagine what lap time that was. That was probably a pretty fast lap time, as Pavlakovic has improved, goes to P4, 40 thousandths of a second behind Mikkelsen in P3. We also have George Parr. Yes.
And he's made an improvement, goes P5, jumps his teammate. Next to the line will be the Ferrari of Freddie Ellis. He's coming up to the bus stop. He was 2 tenths up at the Sector 2 split. So he'll be looking to keep a hold of this time, possibly jump above Owen and Nathan. But he gets a kick out of the bus stop. That's going to cost him time on the run to the line. It's a 43.2, which is an improvement, keeps him 14th. As Tuka's backed out, he's not improving, so he's a lot better of that. Sergio Giel, though, he's half a second up. Goes P13, jumps a couple of places. As Ian comes over the line but doesn't improve. Oh, he does improve.
Yes, he
does.
Validated. He goes.
Yeah.
And Jelinek is the only guy that currently has to finish, but he doesn't have any fuel, so he's gonna probably go into the pit lane. And that is going to be it for the qualifying session.
Fuel as well, because he's 14 seconds down on his split, so
yeah.
He's made a mistake somewhere.
Also,
so he could have got that lap in and improved, but made a mistake and doesn't manage to get that time in.
Adam, I have a very, very interesting confirmation. Rain is imminent. Yes, it is.
Oh.
So we're probably gonna see some crashes happening at Radalon. This track is dangerous enough in the dry. The curbs really like to unsettle your car, cause you to crash and spin, like what happened with Owen and Robertson. But in the wet, it's gonna be another story, as this is the end of the qualifying session. Znamierovski leads. He is on pole with a 142.0, a very impressive lap time. Probably could have improved if he didn't crash at the end. Bilbas is gonna follow him right behind in P2, and they finish the front row of the grid. Mikkelsen is gonna be P3, and Pavlakovic goes to the second row of the grid. The Haas duo is going to be starting P5 and P6. Next we have Niemczyk and Jelinek, Rahkola and Robertson, Sanchez, Powers, Jurgiel, Heinen, Jonathan Foss, and I don't know who else. I forgot.
People.
It ends so early. It's Elise.
And I know.
It's Elise, Crocs, and Jurgiel. There you go.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty interesting qualifying session.
It will be interesting to see which drivers have sacrificed their setup for a potentially wet setup. Look to maximize. Oh yeah, it's definitely raining.
But it's not heavy. It's intermediate conditions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might see dry at the end of the race. It's either going to be drying out or getting even worse at the middle stages or the end of the Grand Prix. But we'll have to wait and see. It is Spa, and in the name it says like spa when you like the hot tub where the hot air is like. So you know that rain's gonna
really
come.
work that water.
So yeah, there is gonna be a lot of steam here and rain, probably. The tires are gonna be overheating if they do not have the correct setup for the wet weather conditions. As we are starting, and like I said, Znamierovski has the inside line. This is one of the only tracks that actually has the inside line on odd numbers, because you almost always have the outside line being with odd numbers, like first, third, fifth, and something like that. And Adam, I've got confirmation. 30 minutes into the race, it is predicted to be dry.
But yeah, everyone's starting on these intermediate tyres. If we're talking 30 minutes, wet conditions, probably around lap 15 or 16, but that might just be when the rain stops. So if that's the case, then we might be seeing people trying to stretch these inters out to around about lap 20 maybe. And then make a decision of whether it's dry enough that they're going to lose so much time if they stay on them they need to pit late to put some softs on, We might see somebody taking a gamble a lap or two early. But of course, we are on approximate weather, so it could just stop raining now.
Maybe.
We attempted a race around Spa during the era of desync. And it said it was going to be 15 minutes before it started raining, and actually started when we ended the formation lap. So, could do basically whatever it wants.
And then we got the desync.
To our drivers to react. And we'll see who listens to Jeff, who calls him an idiot, which is probably most of us, and who makes that decision on their own. I can see from Mark's onboard there do seem to be some rays of sunlight managing to fight their way through already. So it might stop raining even sooner.
So this is gonna be very interesting. You said before who sacrificed for the wet setup or the dry setup. So let's see if some people are gonna have the better pace in the wet, or if people are gonna struggle in the dry or the wet. We're gonna have to wait and see. As we see Znamenovski literally drifting to try and heat up these tires. Yeah, we are.
You don't heat them too much. The Inters don't like being that warm.
I mean,
around about
they're
65
okay.
degrees, where the slicks want to be about 95.
They're okay.
If you're looking to push them along, the more you warm them up, the harder it's going to be come the end of the race to keep them all in one place, all in one piece.
I mean,
but unfortunately,
intermediates...
we did have a disconnect from Jonathan Foss, so he is back in the lobby, but he's going to sit and wait to take control of the car because it has a tendency to crash if you try and do it on the formation.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't want impact on the grid, then getting disqualified, which has happened to me a couple of times.
You were speaking about Inters not going to the end. I think that is pretty common to do. Inters are usually made for that.
You need good tyre management.
Yeah,
you can
yes,
do
you
it.
do.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
You need to not spin up the rears and just keep it nice and planted.
Yeah. As we are starting the Grand Prix, 5 red lights after a long time, 2 weeks a difference, we are underway for the Belgium Grand Prix. Looks like now Znamenovski got a pretty good start and he is going to remain in P1, but I think maybe because... Oh, he crashed! Oh, what has happened there?
I think he lost on his own. I think he locked the rears coming into La Source. And Jacobs managed to take advantage of that and get down the inside of Iron, and he's going to take lead for Ferrari.
And we have 2 wide behind with Jelinek and the EMC going 2 wide into Irouge and Radlon. Thankfully there was not a crash, that has been taken away safely. But I think we have like 4 wide in the back. As I think
here comes Iron at the front.
Yes, he does.
He's alongside Jacob on the run down to Lake Holm.
He takes the inside line, let's see if he makes it. Oh, this is a tight battle on this chicane.
Oh, those curbs, Iron.
Oh, there was contact and Bilbas spins! Bilbas spins! But thankfully he has managed to catch it off the barrier. He does not have damage, so he can get it pretty safely off that. But Tuka is, I think, the biggest winner off of this start, already in 3rd position for the Aston Martin drivers, so he is taking this very, very well. And his next target is Pavlakovic, who is looking to be struggling a little bit, going wide at Puon. And this might give Tuka a pretty good idea, and
Tuka
probably...
already up 6 places on this first lap.
Yes,
everybody else gaining a couple as our front row are now 15th and 17th. They're all the way at the back of the field, and they're going to have to fight their way through. And if we are going to be doing this race as a 0 stop, they're not going to have strategy to do that for them. I think Marek's probably got some front wing damage, so he's going to have to pit. But I think Iron's car's probably fine. And he can just get his foot down and try and gain some of these places back.
And we have another spin. It's Owen.
Owen's gone round.
And I think he has damage. Yes, he has damage.
The Red Bull of Casper's been overtaken by the Haas of George as well, and he's getting overtaken here by Mateus as well as he runs wide at Blanchimont. And he runs into the back of the Mercedes.
Oh, and there was contact.
The Haas in front of the Haas rounded like a 5-car pile-up.
And the EMC has to go into the pit lane because of that contact.
Oh my god, 5-car pile-up at the bus stop, but everybody else seems to get through there okay with no damage. Just the Red Bull of Casper seeming to get some damage, which might explain why he ran wide at Blanchimont and possibly already had that before touching the back of the Mercedes of Mateusz Jelinek. So as one Mercedes drops, another gains position, so Mateusz Jelinek up to P5 after starting P8. But Tuka getting on the back of Quill now, but Jacobs managed to build about 1.5 seconds at the front. And Lucas is trying to stick with Tuka. There's a 3.5 second gap back to the Mercedes of Mateus, who got caught in all of the shenanigans at the bus stop. The front four managed to avoid that. That's the benefit of doing well in qualifying as you sort of avoid everybody else's disasters. As Marek, Owen and Arjen at the back have all come in and pit as well. So we're going to have 4 guys off the back of the train, including both the Red Bulls, so that's not good for them in that Constructors fight with AlphaTauri. But the AlphaTauris are down there with them as well, so currently neither of the leading championship teams are in the points at all. Something possibly Aston Martin can take advantage of. The two currently running P3 and Washi in P7 in the sister car.
Of course.
Jacob's lead at the front now, 2 seconds. Tuka's basically pushing Quill here through Stavolo.
And that is costing Tuka a lot of time, because he cannot really get rid of that time. And we do have a big midfield battle as Robertson actually overtook Yogil in the first chicane. A very impressive move down the inside. But let's see if Yogil can overtake him back.
There's a house there, you don't want to be in their living room.
As Yogil overtakes Robertson, but they still go side by side nearly into turn 17. But I think they will
he's going to try and fight this back on the inside. He's going to have to go defensive.
Yogil defends the inside line.
Position. Spots his braking very well and manages to keep the place ahead of the reserve Alpine driver. But all this is just going to get Freddie very, very interested behind. And then we've got Jonathan and Martin closing in on these as well now. Jonathan's got back in the session and is able to possibly put some of his pace to good use after unfortunately starting at the back and then having that disconnect. Jacob's lead at the front though up to 2.6 seconds. He was fighting a lot for the race wins and the like last season. I think pretty much every race he either finished on the podium or put it in a wall. So he'll be hoping for the former today, with some of the usual suspects dropping a long way down the field at the start.
We have a 3-way battle.
Quill can hold Puka off for a long time.
We have a 3-way battle with Jelinek, Crocs and Powers. Oh, there was contact between Powers and Crocs, but I think there was no damage.
Bit aggressive. And we've got a retirement. We've got our first retirement with Casper. Has binned it in Eau Rouge. Must have had a snap in the middle of the corner and he's lost it coming over the top of Radion. And that's a big one. Yeah, he's in that wall on the right-hand side. Michael Massey's not seeing fit for a safety car. He's a long way off the racing line, but if it's going to remove the car before anybody else gets around there, it's such a long lap.
And we have another spinner of Znamirovski
as well. Marek's lost it at Malmedy, and that's going to lose him the position to Owen. So and Iron gets a penalty. So our front row not doing too well today, losing a lot of places. Marek's had his second spin of the day. Nearly gets a third one coming out of Rivage. Manages to save it on the run down into speakers. This is going to make Iron very interested.
Robertson.
Iron already has our first 3-second time penalty.
Yes, he does. And Robertson and Yogil again battling, but I think Robertson is going to be in that battle ahead. But Jelinek and Powers are also going side by side into the bus stop chicane. Jelinek is still gonna stay in front in P5, but he is in aggression of Powers, who is going down the inside. Jelinek not defending really, but he might get a better exit in this first turn, as they are still going to be side by side. I think someone needs to back out of this, because you do not want to go side by side in the wet at Radlon. You do not want to do that, as Jelinek is going to be the one.
Spend some ERS on the run out of La Source, and Matthias thinks better of it, gives him that place. Nathan's going to have to dump a fair bit of barriers though to stay in front. No DRS obviously in these conditions, however the slipstream is still very strong. It's an extremely long straight. As they run up the hill to Lecom. But Nathan manages to keep 5th place. He'll be looking to bridge that gap up to the Haas driver of Lucas in front of him. And then possibly, hopefully, get on the back of Tuka, who's still losing a chunk of time here behind Quill. He's now 4 seconds off the race lead. Quill just putting that Williams in the right place. And there's no DRS for Tuka to effect an easy overtake. He's going to have to do it with a bit of bravery, a bit of daring, and possibly a bit of stupidity.
As I think Yogil is using his ERS, he might go on a move into Puon, but you don't really want to do that as Robertson goes wide. I think that might be a warning. I didn't really see how wide he actually went, but it
already
didn't
has
think
a penalty, so can't really afford more warnings.
Yes, he does, and it didn't lose him a lot of time, as Yogil nearly loses the car into that chicane. That was very scary. But I think they are still going to battle here, as our leaders, I think, are battling as well. But Yogil is going on a move on Robertson, side by side into this straight. And they're seriously not backing off that this is a quick battle, as Robertson got that advantage of the straight line speed, but he is not defending the inside. I think Jörgil is trying to do a move at the bus stop, and they're still side by side.
He's going to get traction, but he runs slightly off track, but he's going to get better traction out of the bus stop, and that is going to give him the place. And Johnny's right on the back of the definitely not dry conditions yet. The rain is still now line appearing as of yet. But we've got a little bit of a train here. No DRS to affect an overtake, so Jörgil will be hoping to stick with George as much as he can with the Haas in front. Maybe get a bit of slipstream to help with the 3 guys now queuing up behind him. As Freddie's coming onto the back of these two as well. As Fraser's going to move out and take... going to go side by side. We saw this on the first lap and it ended poorly. Jörgil the lake get on to slightly better line and a little bit of contact, but wheel to wheel, nothing too untoward, and manages to keep 9th place. It's going to possibly make Fraser a little bit vulnerable to Johnny, and Johnny's going to try down the inside of Ravage. He can't really overtake there, but he tried it.
And right,
just have to follow him through speakers.
And right ahead we have Cox and Yellowneck side by side, and they unfortunately make contact into Puon.
I think Washi left just about enough room, but Mateus got on that inside curb at the first part of Puon, and as I said, in quality, it will just kill you if it doesn't like you very much. And well, I can imagine it not liking the Mercedes very much. Max Verstappen is Belgian, so...
Rahkola has overtaken Pavlakovic for 2nd place, but as you said before,
already a second ahead.
Yes, he is, but he does have those 4 seconds behind Mikkelsen, so he has a lot of ground to cover up and to regain.
But he runs wide at the bus stop, slightly misses his braking point,
but doesn't lose
him some time.
It does, but not too much, only like 5 or 6 tenths, so that is thankfully going to be. And Adam, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're lagging a little bit. At least for me. I don't know how it's on stream. I don't know.
Standard. It'll fix itself.
Oh, probably. Probably, yes. I hope it's the latter one, because that seems to work better, because you don't lag for like 10 laps and then it again comes. But it should be fine.
Yeah. So Aston Martin having a really
Znamenovsky retired!
He's binned it through Blanchimont. How the hell's he done that?
And
it's a virtual safety car. I don't think we'll see anybody pitting. The rain, if anything, is getting heavier. So we're definitely not going to see anybody risking the slicks as of yet. It's possible somebody who's not confident in their tyre management is going to make the decision to come in for another set of inters, give up a little bit of track position, especially the likes of Owen and Iron, just to have those slightly fresher tyres going on for the rest of the race. If it's not going to dry out, or it's not going to dry out until the last few laps, you're really not going to lose anything for it, but you could make a big gain, especially if somebody in front of you gets a puncture, pushing these inters for a long way. But this is going to bunch everybody back up, so this closes that 4 seconds that Jacob managed to build on Tuka while he was stuck behind Quill, and it's going to close up the other sort of 4-second gaps that are up and down the field as well.
But he is still going to lead.
It's not going to interfere with any of our ridiculous fights we've been having.
So, I don't know if I'm seeing this correctly, but rain is not really easing up, so I don't think the dry conditions are going to be imminent in a couple of laps.
You can't pit for slicks. You can't pit for slicks. And Spa's one of those tracks where it's such a long lap, and if you're on the wrong tyres, you lose so much time in Sector 2. You kind of have to play it by what Jeff says, as much as you might not want to, by what Jeff says and by when the ERS gets disabled.
Oh, Tuka goes into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think Tuka might be just going for fresh enters here, just to possibly have that bit of a tyre advantage. Jacob stayed out, so Tuka's probably made that call based on Jacob not pitting. Quill comes in as well, but Lucas stays out in the Haas, as do Nathan, Washi, and George, so both Haas staying out here. I thought they might pit. Washi obviously didn't want to lose time in the pit lane coming in behind Tuka and double stacking, but I thought one of the Haas guys might pit just to get on that fresh rubber, and this has put Jonathan up to 7th place. 6th place possibly, depends what the game decides who got out of the pit, whether Tuka got out of the pit lane before him or not. Doesn't seem to be giving that place back in a hurry though, so I imagine it's giving him 6th place. So he's gained 11 places, which is really good, and Washu's gained 12. And despite all the carnage, George and Owen are in the place that they started. Somehow. I'm not entirely sure how they managed that one.
Now, do you think that pitting for fresh enters is the correct decision? Because we saw from previous races that we've commented on, if you have older intermediates or fresh intermediates, it doesn't really matter because the pace is going to be nearly the same. And
it matters if it gets a bit wetter, because if the rain keeps falling, and if it gets slightly heavier, it's going to get gradually wetter. Therefore, having more tread on those inters and having just more raw grip is going to make a much bigger difference than if it's sort of inter conditions and it's kind of, drying up gradually. Then having more grip doesn't really change anything. I do know the race you were referencing, which was Suzuka, and Suzuka is significantly harder to overtake than Spa because it's so much thinner and so much twistier. So I definitely think it could have an advantage. If you can get a really good drive, if you're about 6 or 7 tenths behind somebody, and you can get a really good drive out of La Source, you can follow them up Eau Rouge and through Radion, and then make that move down the Kemmel Straight. As Iron's left the session, I'm not sure if that's a DC, I imagine it is. So we should see him return before the safety car comes in. So we won't lose anything for that. Possibly just a little bit of tyre heat up and a little bit of tyre wear because the AI is not the best.
And we already know.
Played, career mode, no?
And we already know that it is going to be drying out, so I don't really know if our pit stoppers have made the correct decision, but at least they do have fresher tires than everyone ahead.
I think you're risking it. Like, if it says it's going to dry, it's going to basically stop raining after half an hour. You might be looking at 40 minutes before it's dry enough to go on the slick tires. It's such a long track, you're not running a lot over the same parts of it. So the clear up takes kind of the same number of laps, but obviously more time than it does on some other circuits. So you're going to be running quite a fair few, for a fair length of time after it stopped raining, still in the intermediates before that dry line sort of forms. Because you can't go on slicks while it's still too wet. You can't make that gamble where you're going to be maybe a couple of seconds slower, because you're going to be more than that in the second sector alone. You're just going to lose a ton of time. There's every chance that it gets very snappy on you going up Eau Rouge and through Radion, and that's just going to put you in a wall, as we saw with Casper earlier. You got a bit of a snap going up Eau Rouge, and it just spat him out.
And with Jacob right now, as well.
Yeah. So you kind of have to be on the right tyres here. It's like, there's always been that point of being on the right tyres is faster than not pitting, but you have to be on the right tyres. So if it goes longer and longer and gets to the point where we're looking at staying on intermediate tyres until the end race, these guys that haven't pit are really going to be struggling with tyre wear come the end. And I think some of them are definitely going to be risking puncture territory. The punctures start at 70% tyre wear, so they're going to be close to that, if not over it. And yeah, we're getting some lots behind safety car, which is going to help them out. But I still think it's going to be a bit sketch, especially if they're fighting with people and they're maybe getting a bit more slip in the tyres. Obviously all these guys run without traction control, so if they're going to spin the rears up, that's going to induce more heat and therefore more wear in those rear tyres. And while Spa's not a particularly rear limited circuit, there is a few places where you really, really need that rear grip. So these guys that have got 6 or 7 laps less life on these intermediate tyres are just going to have so much more traction out of La Source and the bus stop, specifically as the slowest corners on the track. And they're going to be able to take a much tighter, narrower line through Rivage, because the tyres just aren't going to handle it if they're extremely worn and getting close to puncture territory.
And you also have to keep in mind that in the wet it's pretty difficult to overtake, as we see, or we actually don't see many overtaking happening in the wet IRL and in the games. So beating and losing
is coming in this lap,
yes,
though,
it is.
So we're going to get 13 laps of racing still to go. Possibly more safety cars, but hopefully not.
And rain is probably going to get to go away on lap 15, if we are counting that. One lap is 1 minute and 55 seconds in the wet in Spa, and multiply that by 2, 30 minutes. Lap 15 is going to be the predicted lap to be drying out. So that is what we need to look out for after this safety car restart.
Yeah, I think we had some people doing what we told them not to do, which was using AI mode on the safety car. But it doesn't seem to have induced any bugs like it did on Wednesday for our test race. So
how can you even check
get away
that
with this.
in Spectator? As Mikkelsen actually goes.
Go on board with someone, it'll tell you because it gives you the name place.
Okay, as Mikkelsen goes very early, actually. Oh, there was a crash!
At the bus stop, and that's the front wing off. And I think that's broken the car. Come on, he tapped the wall. Come on, game. But Jacob does manage to get a good restart, and he's got about 0.8 of a second over the heart of Lucas. And Nathan's right behind them. But this is going to help out Tuka and Quill, who did pit. So they're our leading pitters, currently running 6th and 7th. And they're going to be pressuring George in that second half and hoping to make moves as soon as possible. Tuka takes a lot of momentum up through Radion, and he's going to get alongside very early down the Kemmel Straight. So let's have a fight and see who's got less downforce. I think George slightly, as Nathan and Lucas are side by side ahead. Tuka's managed to make the place. George thinks better of fighting that, I think. But that might compromise him and lose him time to Quill as well. We could see Quill making a move on George as well, down into Ravage. And seeing our, what were 2nd and 3rd really fighting for it. There's a bit of contact, but Quill does get down the inside. And he is going to make that place. Puts him up. Dukes. Hang on, boss has messaged me.
Oh. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead. So Nathan Powers and Lucas Dixon, like Adam said, have been fighting as well, side by side into the first chicane. As we do have a spin and nearly another spin from Dixon, but the other Mercedes driver of Jelinek has spun after Puon. Which is very unfortunate indeed. Mercedes not having the best weekend. Oh, that's a big crash! As I think Jonathan Foss just nearly avoided that. But that's not a safety car. As oh my god, what the... Oh my god, what is actually happening? What was that?
So there is a lobby restart because apparently we got desync.
And I think that is the thing big, because if you saw what I saw, that was actually... Oh my god, there was 5 retirements in one corner.
Yeah, I think that was when the message might have been sent and people just went, yeet.
Oh my god.
We are going to have a restart, so it will be a 25% race, starting on the intermediate tyres. Yeah, there's another safety car out now. It will be a 25% race, so it will be 11 laps, starting on the intermediate tyres. Grid will be put in the order of the last completed lap, which was under safety car. And we'll go again.
That was actually crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I'm gonna need to watch that back because... what was that? Oh my god. That was insane. Okay, so that restart was not good. A lot of crashes happening on the second to last straight. People do have to keep in mind it's wet. Try not to be way too aggressive because you cannot really overtake. You can get a snap of oversteer or just lose the car and you're just gonna crash both of you. But there was like 5 or 6 spins in 10 seconds. That was actually insane. That was actually insane. But yeah, like Adam said, we are having a restart, a 25%, and we're just gonna continue where we left off. I think our lobby host is going to set it up so that it dries at the end, because it has to. That was predicted before the start of the race. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait for that. I mean, it was going so well. We only had 2 retirements from Znamrovsky and Niemczyk, and not a lot of penalties actually, which is quite surprising. Only Robertson, Jelinek, Heinen, and Bilbas had a 3-second time penalty. So people keeping it pretty clean and safe, except for that lap 9 incident at the safety car restart. Besides that, the race went pretty well, but you cannot keep it that way, seems like. But yeah, at least everyone now, because of the restart, has a fresh set of tires, or fresh, yeah, I said fresh. Fresh set of intermediate tires, if it is still going to be raining. So at least everyone's gonna be at the same level. So it's probably just going to be where we started off. Just to think this like a red flag in real life, but because Codemasters doesn't want to give us a red flag, we have to make it ourselves. And they're probably, if they do get like a DLC red flag expansion in the next game, we're probably gonna have to pay like $9 for that. And who would pay $9 for a red flag expansion? Probably me. But I know who would pay for the safety car, Mercedes safety car expansion. As I think we're gonna be right back. I need to talk about the stuff, lobby stuff, and all of that. So we're gonna be right back in just a few minutes. So yes, we are back. Of course, as we said we were. We are going to be doing a restart because of desync issues. It looks like the patch didn't really fix it fully. We're not gonna go into detail, just know that we are restarting the lobby. I think we've mentioned it before, we're gonna be doing a 25% race. We're going to have a grid corresponding to when the safety car was ending. That is going to be our grid. The people who retired, they are not going to be in the race, of course, because they retired. They're dead.
I took them out back and shot them.
Their teams couldn't fix the car in time. The red flag didn't give them enough time to repair them. And of course, because we don't have the red flag, of course, like I said, we had to buy the DLC for $9. And this is our red flag contribution. But yeah.
I do think that there needs to be a red flag option that spectators can press. So it's like, if there's something like that, we can red flag it and it'll, like, I don't know, save the race as is.
But in open lobbies, people would abuse that very, very likely. Yeah. So you don't really want to have that. But maybe, like, maybe you could have the host give permissions to do the red flags to certain spectators. That would be better, yeah. I think. And then you have spectators having the red flags for leagues like these. Because if you have that in the open, you're just asking for trouble, and no one would play online because we would always probably, yes, I don't know, but people would always in the open lobbies just press red flags every like 2 laps, and you would probably leave the lobby because of that. You can't really control people and what they do. I'm not saying that they would do it, but it's like 80% chance that that would actually happen. That people would abuse that option a lot. But I think given that hosts can give permissions for certain spectators to use that feature, that could work. Yeah, I can actually see... I can see that. And you should expect supercar racing in Ero!
God.
I still have no idea who actually came up with the idea to put supercars in a official Formula 1 game. Open wheel game. Put supercars.
Racing them doesn't make... having them as like a collection thing you can show off, fine, whatever, I don't care. But racing them seems a bit daft. I just want to race a safety car. Like, that's fine.
Yes! Safety car race. Social race in Ero.
Yeah, I'll go in the Merc Black, you can go in the Aston. That might be fair.
Dude, no. Aston Martin is like 5 seconds slower. No.
Yeah, that'll be fair. It's fine.
I don't even like that much the Aston Martin. It just looks like way too big, and it looks like a turtle. I mean, like
you're complaining about the Aston Martin safety car, but like Seb got P8 in one, so.
I mean, that's not a safety car, that's an open wheel car.
Pretty much is. Pretty much is. It's terrible.
I mean, Vettel's car is literally a boat, so Imola, if it was raining for the halfway of the race, I mean, you can see how he just sailed to that P8 or P9 that he got. I mean, I'm really happy that he got those points, but Williams is again in the top 10. I mean, in P10. Williams not having a good season, a good hybrid era, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, I don't dislike the Aston Martin car. It looks okay, but the Mercedes car way better. I always liked the SLS or AMG series that Merc do.
Having an AMG Black as a safety car, it's like you might as well go whole hog and just have like a 2014 Merc as the safety car.
I miss the SLS. Fast. I miss the SLS. That car is absolutely amazing, phenomenal car. And I think that car was like at 2010, 2012, I don't know, in that era, the SLS. But yeah, enough speaking about safety cars, because Merc has been dominating in that part for a million years. It would actually be cool to have a Ferrari safety car. That could actually be good if you had like a FX Ferrari Evo car.
Seriously. Just have an FXX, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry
we
about it being too slow.
Car,
And you don't have to worry about it being too slow. It has enough downforce, it's fast on a straight line, like, it's perfect! I mean, people might die,
yeah, it's like, oh, this week we're using the Aston Martin safety car. Max is on the radio like, man, this car's too fucking slow. Oh, next week we're having the Ferrari safety car. Max is on the radio like, dude, I can't keep up with the safety car. What the fuck?
Oh, we are actually starting. I didn't even see that. Okay, we're starting. Finally. Yeah. What to say if I didn't mention it already? Yeah, let's do a quick recap. Everyone died, we're restarting, we had desync, and we're doing a 25% race. The grid is going to be stacked just before the ending of the safety car, and that is going to be where everyone is gonna start. Everyone has fresh tires, so that is also one thing.
The weather has been set to as closely approximate what was going to happen as possible, so we are going to start on the intermediate conditions as they were on the intermediate conditions. It's essentially a red flag situation, so everyone gets their fresh tyres and things like that, as they would have done if we actually had red flags in game. We have lost a couple of laps, but you could say we ran those behind safety car or whatever, which is then going to sort of set us to this 11-lap final race. The weather is set to start on intermediates and then go cloudy, as it was due to do in the official race.
Yes, indeed.
So it should be as close of a recreation as possible. Obviously, it's not ideal.
And
But I thought they fixed their shit. But I mean, PC3 and PC2 was fine, so I'm just blaming the PC1 drivers. It's entirely their fault.
Yeah. Okay, so we are starting the formation lap, and I think this actually gives us the best opportunity to do some selling out.
I mean, I just want to point out though that I think we're already on F1 2022 because you've got both the Red Bulls are dead. We've got a Ferrari and a Haas on the front row, and Mercedes near the back. So
you just need one of the Ferraris to die, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and we don't have. We don't have Owen. Looks like his internet is dead.
Owen's Wi-Fi died. Red Bull saw a problem with the car electronics and retired him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm just gonna say a few things.
People have real-life time constraints.
Yes, they do. And that also happened in Spain, I think, when Owen also raced. So that was to be expected, in my case at least. But yeah, I just want to say, if you are enjoying the race so far, and if you enjoyed Carnage at the safety car ending, leave likes, subscribe, and if you want to race with these guys, if you are in PC, there's a link in the description. PC signups are open, like I said before. We have 3 PC divisions, one on Sunday, one on Saturday, one on Friday. Sunday is PC1, PC2 Saturday, PC3 on Friday. 4 PM UK time for PC1 and PC2, and then 7 PM UK time for PC3. And yeah, you can sign up if you want to. And thank you to our partners, Boldomania, Grid Finder, Race Inside Discord, and JL Designs for making this possible. You can also donate if you want to. You can support us on Patreon. You can follow all of us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is in the description. I'm not gonna say any more because we are going close to finishing the formation lap and starting the race. And I do not want to sound like a sellout because we don't even have a lot of people watching. But yeah, I really do hope that you are enjoying today's stream so far and the race. And sorry for the inconvenient game issues. I think that's how you say
Yeah.
it.
I mean, inconvenience.
Inconvenient, yes.
But yeah, it's essentially a red flag. There are no red flags in game, so we've had to make our own.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for Tuka and Quill, as they did pit. But under a red flag, some people do get caught out, and you do lose that pit stop you've made.
Imagine if anyone made like a chaos mode for F1, and then we had like a major live stream.
We have a chaos
like...
mode for F1. It's called PC1.
Ah, yeah. Ah, yes. I forgot. Of course. But we are just waiting for the final few guys to round out to the grid, and I think we are waiting
Bit
for...
of pop pushing on the grid there.
There we go. As we are starting the restart of the race, 5 red lights, and we are underway. Looks like Mickelson actually got a pretty good start. He will remain in P1, but he is on the attack from Crocs, the Aston Martin driver, as they go side by side into turn 1. Powers and Ericsson behind also go side by side, and Crocs and Mickelson go inside by side into Irouge and Radlon. This will not end well. Someone needs to back out of this. Someone needs to back off. Please back off. And there was contact, but no crashes, thankfully. And I think Powers got...
How did he avoid that wall?
I don't know. He's really good, and now Powers is trying to attack Crocs into the first chicane. Let's see if he can make this a stick. He breaks a bit
Pretty wide behind as well.
Yes, there are, as Crocs retains P2, and I think
Josh Powell's going around at the back, so
yes.
Haas not having a good restart, 2nd to 6th, and dropping right to the back.
Pavlakovic overtaking Gilgil into the hairpin. That was a pretty good overtake, as Martin Sanchez and Jelinek overtake Bilbas. Bilbas also not having the restart that he wanted.
And he has no front wing, so he's going to have to pit here.
Oh, that is very unfortunate. With a 25% race, you don't really want to do that, because you will not have a lot of chances to overtake again. But of course,
everyone is going to have to make another stop for the dry tyres, I would imagine. So
if it's gonna come,
that is going to include irons. So it's not really going to help him. He's going to be praying for a safety car, I think, at AlphaTauri.
I mean, that is also a speculation.
P4, so
yes, he is.
They're doing okay so far, but he's going to be coming under pressure from Tuka, who did lose out under that red flag. He's looking to make up some places and get back up towards the front of the field. He's only lost 3 places, and one of them's his teammate, who you'd imagine will dive out of the way if Tuka rolls up behind him. It does seem to have more pace than Jonathan and Nathan in front of him. Although they might be losing a bit of time, sort of caught up behind Washi Crocs, as Jacob sets a 158 on that restart, so a couple of seconds faster than they were at the start of the full race, but that will be reflected in the reduction in the fuel, as we've got Fraser and Mateusz Jelinek in the pits at the back, along with Iron. So that's 3 guys that are going to be dropped off the back. So if you can stick with this front group, then you should be able to get points. There's only going to be 11 guys here that aren't going to be a pit stop behind.
As I think Nathan Powers might go for a move again on the same chicane, as Croc is going defensive. And now that he has the outside line, that is how Crocs defended his position. But Crocs is really not giving that
really
place back. That was very impressive indeed from the Aston Martin driver.
Lost a bit of momentum in the middle of Lecon, but managed to come back through Malmedy, as we actually have a bit of side-by-side behind as well. Tuka trying to make a move through Ravage on Jonathan Foss, but Jonathan manages to hold the place.
And Dirksen and
He gets a bit
Pavlakovic.
swirly though, and Tuka's going to have a look into poo on here. Ooh. Thinks better of that for good reason.
Dirksen and Pavlakovic as well were side by side as Pavlakovic. Oh my god, that's
whiff through poo on. Somehow manages to hold it.
That is very good card control. And Mickelson, our leader, is already 2.7 seconds ahead of 2nd place from Crocs. Like, that's actually unbelievable how much pace Mickelson actually has in the wet.
World's widest Aston Martin, currently holding P2. And it's just pushing Nathan and Jonathan into the clutches of Tuka. He's just backing them off into him, essentially, at this point. Like I say, if Tuka rolls up behind Washi, he's not going to fight that one. He's not going to fight his teammate. As much as he'd love a P2, I think they need to think about the drivers as much as the constructors. And, well, it's pretty obvious as Jacob does a 54-2. which is faster than the lap we had in the first half of the race. So fastest lap in this half will give the fastest lap point, whoever manages to gain it. But I imagine that's going to get dismantled because somebody's going to try the dry tyres, even if it's on that last lap.
And that lap also might be speculating that it's not raining as hard as in the previous race.
But it's not stopping.
But
yet.
Yet. As we have a three-way battle with Jurgil, Dixon and Pavlakovic in the Williams, Haas and McLaren, as Pavlakovic is trying to go around the down the inside into the chicane, but Lucas Dixon just breaks so late and he's gonna retain P6.
Yeah, there's no right that you can do it like if someone breaks late, because they're going to run deep in that first part, but it does give them the inside for the second part of the corner. And they can just kind of slide it wide a little bit, run you out of a line for Malmedy, which is what Lucas did there, and going to hold on to P6. Quill really lost out under that red flag, and he doesn't seem to be able to make any headway on the guys in front. And there's already like a 2-second gap in front of Lucas as he has another moment through Puon, Quill. And Jonathan's managed to overtake Nathan. I'm not sure if Nathan's got issues somewhere because he's lost a place with Tuka as well. Does he have damage on that? Because he's going very slow. He's lost his front wing, I think. Going very slow through Sanyas.
He doesn't have an end plate.
The left end plate is gone on his wing, so the car will not turn right.
Oh, but he's holding everyone up.
Over fist now.
And he's holding up Mateus.
Lucas and Quill managed to dart back through the middle of Stavolo, but Mateus got held up through the second part of Stavolo there. And now Martin's going to...
Oh, there was contact!
Looking to make a move, but there's... Ooh. Nathan probably had to brake for Blanchimont, and Martin wasn't expecting it.
No,
so we can see Nathan pitting as he has a lock-up into the bus stop as well, just to add to his worries. He's going to have to dive in, and Martin's going to follow him in behind, and as well as keep out of the pit wall, in all honesty. So that's going to leave just 9 people now, not a pit stop behind, as this rain carries on, essentially. It's not really getting any heavier, but it's definitely not getting lighter, I don't think.
I think it is actually getting lighter, and if you watch on the track, I think there is a dry line appearing, but only slightly. But it is appearing, so I think in
there's a little bit
probably
of cleared water where they've been running, but the offline part is a lot wetter. But you tend to see that when the rain's not heavy anyway. They are clearing this weather out as eyeing, because that's a fastest lap. So
oh, Robertson is on softs.
Looking for at least a... Ooh, hello.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, he's on inters on my screen.
Huh? Oh, he... Ooh. Is that another indication of desync?
I mean, potentially, but desync to commentators is kind of fine.
Should I leave the session and rejoin? But I've gotta say that
Nathan's
was...
on offs. Wrong Alpine.
Ah, yes.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah,
You just don't know your Alpines.
And that happened in Portugal as well.
There's definitely be L spin here from Nathan. It's definitely not dry enough for those soft tyres. But I think he kind of had to go for it, otherwise he was going to be a pit stop behind. If he can keep it on the road, even if he loses a little bit of time, as long as he doesn't lose a pit stop, he is going to gain from this.
He nearly crashed.
A real wrestling match to try and get this round.
He nearly crashed twice at Radlon. I don't know how he kept that car alive, or himself alive.
He also nearly lost it coming through speakers, what used to be no name. He has to drop down to 4th gear for Puon.
While that is happening...
Fist! I managed to get past him just before Rivage on the exit of Malmedy, and he's already lost 5.5 seconds. This is what I mean about being on the right tyres.
It's
run an extra lap.
It stopped raining.
Yeah. Jacob's on board. It doesn't seem to be raining coming up through Eau Rouge and Radio. So we might be seeing some pit stops in the next couple of laps.
Maybe, as we have a crash with Yogil.
Yellow flag.
How did he crash there?
That's
impressive. There might have been contact, and he's just staying on track. What is he doing?
Possibly checking to see if he had any irreparable damage, whether he was just going to park the car up somewhere and retire. But it's all possibly just letting the tyres cool down a little bit.
And the other Alpine.
Very hot with the spin.
The other Alpine.
Yeah, he's getting a new front wing and some soft tyres. So I think with needing a new front wing, he kind of had to take that gamble. But Nathan's still wrestling the car. It's definitely not dry enough for the slicks yet, as he was very gentle around La Sauce and still gets a 4-wheel drift.
With what I'm seeing...
The guys on the Inters, Jacob's got a 4-second lead at the front now. And Wadgie's still holding on to that second place for Aston Martin. But he's taking quite a lot of curb. He's playing with fire a little bit there. Holding Jonathan and Tuka behind him still. Kind of backing Jonathan up into Tuka a little bit, and Fraser's gone round at Eau Rouge on those soft tyres. So didn't quite manage to hold it like Nathan did.
So I think that Sector 1 and Sector 3 are actually drying out a lot, but in Sector 2 I think it's still raining. Watching on board
Jacob
with May
carries
Mickelson.
on for another lap, so he's convinced
Yes, he
it's definitely not slick conditions.
I mean,
the people that get the
not.
biggest advantage here are going to be Matthias and Ian, because they can see the gap to Nathan on those soft tyres. As Lucas and Quill are in.
Okay,
Lucas
they're
and Quill
risking it.
have made the gamble. They've decided to pit, so I think this is going to be for the slick tyres.
I
It's
think
such a long lap around Spa that by the end of the lap they might have played it right. And
Pavlakovic...
medium's going on the Haas, which is strange, and soft's going on the Williams. So Lucas is on the medium tyres, which is going to be tricky to keep them within a window on a wet track.
That is going to be very interesting.
Oh, nearly lose it coming out of the pit lane, and Quill nearly runs into the back of him.
Don't go side by side. Don't go.
Don't do it, Quill. As much as you want to, please don't do it, Quill.
Let's
And
see who's gonna
Jurgiel's
die.
in as well, but he may have had damage from the crash he had.
Oh, Pavlakovic and the Dirksen going side by side.
Side by side up Kemmel Straight is fine. Don't do it in Eau Rouge. And Quill got a better drive up Eau Rouge. Probably had to lift off less. Had a little bit more temperature in the tyres.
Oh.
But he's gone straight on at Lecombe. He's totally missed his braking point.
Yeah, he's
on the wet
locked
track. He's
up
gone straight
so
on
much.
at Lecombe. And that's going to give Lucas 7th place back.
What is this final few laps of the race? This is actually insane.
People further back taking gambles, and the thing is, this is going to promote the guys that were in the lower reaches of the top 10, who have chosen to stick with those intermediates until either DRS gets enabled, or Jeff tells them, or they see some of the sector times coming down from some of the soft runners. Currently, they're all just losing time hand over fist. Although the soft tyres are definitely better than the mediums, because Quill's already caught back up to the back of Lucas, even fighting the car, but they're losing a huge amount of time to Quill's teammate Martin, who is still on those intermediate tyres. So I imagine Quill's probably going to jump off track here at some point, either by choice or by force from the tyres. Yeah, and Martin manages to make the move, and he gets 2 guys in a corner. Shows just how good the intermediate tyres still are. They're still the better option, as all the leaders carry on. Jacob on the run to Eau Rouge. And Washi, Jonathan, and Tuka all behind him. Just still sort of sat in the positions they've been in for a while. This is really going to hurt Aston Martin when it gets to the crossover point, because Tuka's going to lose a huge amount of time queuing up behind Washi in the pits.
As Lucas
Dirksen, but he has a pretty significant gap to George behind, so he shouldn't lose him place, but he's going to lose him time. And we've got a spinner, and that's Quill.
Yes, he does.
Going around with the bus still. It's an interesting place to lose it.
I mean, it is an uphill, slight uphill, and a banker turn, so you can lose traction pretty easily there if you're not careful enough.
And Matthias and Ian have managed to overtake Lucas and Quill now as well, so they are losing a huge amount of time. Just for reference, so Martin overtook Lucas coming through Stabilo, and Lucas has just spun it coming up Eau Rouge, but had already lost 8 seconds to the Williams driver on his intermediate tyres, so we're still quite a long way away from the crossover, really. It depends how fast the track manages to dry. And it might be quite interesting with these 3 guys near the front with Washi, Jonathan, and Tuka to see who manages to keep their tyres in an operating temperature when the track does start to dry, and who overheats them and starts to get some fairly severe oversteer moments. Tuka's almost pushing Jonathan on the run through Blanchimont and down into the bus stop chicane. But he's still not quite able to make that move. Tuka does tend to run fairly high downforce setup, so he is going to be a little...
Oh, Jonathan falls!
Jonathan! Did he hit the wall?
I don't know. He doesn't have damage, but that gives Tuka the greatest opportunity to try and attack for that position for the final spot on the podium, and they contact! Oh, Jonathan Voss has retired!
That was, I think, the tiniest bit of side-by-side contact, and it just unsettled the Alpha Tauri.
And there's
maybe
a
just trying to get
virtual.
on the power a little bit too early on the wet track, and it's a virtual safety car. So we might see some of these guys near in the back who haven't pit yet. They might dive in now. They might think it's worth it under a VSC.
I don't know.
Just all laps to go.
Sanchez doesn't go. Let's see Jelinek and Bilbas. Jelinek stays out. Bilbas also.
Bilbas staying out, yeah. The line he was taking, I thought Iron might be chancing it then, risking his arm and diving in. He's going to lose a fair chunk of points to Tuka at the moment, 13. So he's not going to be closing up quite as much as he would like to, obviously, within the driver's standings. Tuka's going to go over a race win in front of him, unless something major changes. I think that was probably Iron's best chance to potentially get something out of this. All the guys behind him are on slick tyres, so I don't think he'd have really lost anything, apart from the opportunity really to overtake Mateus, if Mateus gets it right.
Oh, Nathan Powers gets a drive-through.
For Nathan.
Ooh.
That's just bad to worse for Alpine. They're currently winning 13th and 14th, and now have a drive-through to add to that.
The only thing
Mateus
that
and
they
Iron
can...
are side-by-side through Lecombe. But Mateus is going to have that inside line from Malmedy and manages to keep the place as Iron gets a four-wheel drift. And Lucas pits and gets a 5-second penalty and retires. And
we have a yellow... Yes, that is from him.
Yeah, but he retired in the pits, so I'm not really sure why it's put a yellow flag on the pit straight. Oh well.
And on Sector 3 as well.
Yeah, and a spooky car of Fraser Robertson gets lapped by Mateus and Iron. So I'm not sure if Fraser's had some disconnect issues or if he's rage quit the lobby, one or the other. But we are now seeing the two Aston Martins are coming back over the start-finish line, and she hasn't moved for Tuka yet, so I'm not sure if he's going to or if he's going to basically say, "Come on, Tuka, I know you're the faster Aston Martin driver, but can you overtake me on a wet track?"
I have the power to keep you behind.
I promise to not kill you very much. She has been defending well. You might want this position, especially with Iron so far down in the points. I don't think Tuka's going to mind the loss of 3 points all that much if she does manage to hold second place.
But Iron currently does have the opportunity to battle for P7, which will give him 6 points, and he is right on the diffuser of Jelinek and the gearbox, but he locks up heavily into turn 1. But still gets a better exit off of him, and he does...
And it manages to keep it out of the back of the Mercedes.
Yes, he does. Let's see if he can manage to do this overtake on this next straight. I don't know what it's called, I don't really care.
Camel straight. How do you not know the Camel straight?
I don't know, I'm stupid.
True.
Bilbas tries to go around the outside as Jelinek is defending for that position, defending the inside line.
Both flying all their battery and probably running a similar amount of downforce.
Oh, there is contact!
Jesus. They're both still pointing the right way though. So,
as Bilbas cuts the corner.
Another 3-second penalty. Is that the second one?
That's the first one.
No, that's the first, yeah. The other first was in the first half. And I'm not sure what we're doing with those penalties.
He cut that corner so much.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not really what you want to do, but I think he's going for another move on Jelinek into Puon.
Maybe
but
not.
But he backs out of it. He backs out of it, thankfully. Thank God.
That was not the best idea he's ever had.
That was scary. As I think Mikkelsen... No, we are currently on lap 10. So yeah, the Asmar Martin
to go. No, it was never got to dry conditions.
Yes, that is actually very
It's not going to be
interesting.
worth pitting for the final lap, unless you're doing it specifically for the fastest lap. In which case you would have to have come in already. But I don't think Jacob's going to come under too much pressure. He's got a 5.3 second lead.
Oh, there was a crash between Bilbas and Jelinek going into the bus stop chicane.
Jelinek manages to keep going as Martin Sanchez gets that point now for a fastest lap. Currently running P6 as well, having a good run the Williams driver.
Yeah, Jelinek.
Jelinek is going to pit, so I wonder if he's going to try some dry tyres to try and get the fastest lap, or if he's going to put brand new winters on and try and do it.
He's going for softs. Oh, Tuka has overtaken Crocs for P2. And I think he went around the outside into No Name.
Ooh. Well, they've managed to do that pretty well, because Moji hasn't lost too much time, but Tuka's now 6.2 behind Jacob, so he's not going to be able to get any further up the grid, but he is going to have him P2, which is where he was before he pit, which is kind of what he was arguing for, that we should have reinstated the positions before the pit stops. However, red flags, the red flags. DRS
is enabled.
So these soft runners are going to be quick on this last lap, but I don't think any of them are going to be close enough to catch any of our guys still on inters. Between our final inter runner of Iron and our first soft runner of Mateus, there's 22 seconds. And even at Spa, you're not gaining 22 seconds in a lap. Just as we are gonna see.
But we are gonna see an exchange of fastest laps from our soft runners as well.
I would imagine Mateus, with them being brand new, is most likely to get that.
We have a spinner.
This is gonna give Wodshi DRS on Tuka down the Camel Straight. So
this is gonna be interesting. Maybe. I mean,
could he overtake his Finnish teammate and steal P2 back?
He's using ERS.
Oh god.
This is gonna be interesting.
Tuka's got 85% of his barrier. Tuka can just dump it down the straight and be like, no, stay there.
Just don't die into Radlon, which they both did pretty well. Let's see Slipstream DRS. Tuka not defending, but I think he knows that he's way too far behind, and that
and Washi has that 3-second penalty, so even if he managed to overtake him on track, he wouldn't keep the position. I don't think it's worth them fighting for when the Constructors is still on the line. Remember Mercedes 2016, guys? Don't do it.
I mean, they had an amazing car, and the Constructors was definitely on the line, so they could battle for that. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm happy that Rosberg won. He's my favorite driver. I love him. He's good. Yes, I'm happy. But yeah, we are going on to the final few corners of the race. You're lagging again, Adam.
Jacob, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jacob rounds Stablo 2. Nearly goes round at Stablo 2.
Yogel puts the fastest lap, as we are going to be on board with May and Mickelson for the final few corners.
Very skatey.
Yes.
Yeah, he gets very skatey down that back straight through Stavlo 2 and then through Blanchemont. But yeah, Yogel does a 52.6, so it is quicker, but that's not a very good soft lap. You can see the track is still pretty wet. Mickelson is going to take his first win of the season.
Very impressive. He had the entire race in his hands. He was just pulling away.
Very quick on a wet track.
Very.
As Tuka does get back up to P2, Watch he takes P3. Nathan sets a new fastest lap with a 52.5. I imagine these are all going to come down as the soft runners finish their laps. The track is getting progressively drier. George Parr managed to take 4th place for Haas after not a great reset after the red flag, but he kept it clean after that and managed to make his way back up and take some really good points for the Haas team. As Freddie Ellis finishes P5, so a really good day for Ferrari, taking 1st and 5th. And we're going to see Martin coming over the line next for Williams to take P6.
Ian Bilbas is finishing his lap, finishing in P7, the only AlphaTauri in the points. Unfortunate for them, but
we've got the
you
soft
can't do
runners,
anything.
so this is going to be a fastest lap shootout. Mateusz Jelinek gets P8, Fraser manages to set a 150.7, Mateusz Jelinek does a 49.6.
Let's see Pavlakovic.
So Will and Mateusz Jogel to finish. Will does a, no, it's not quite enough, it's a 50.3.
And Yugil is going to be the last guy.
2.3 seconds up at the second split, but he's going to get a lot of time here out at the bus stop and be able to get the traction down quite well. And it's going to be a...
He does not steal it. He didn't steal it.
It was very close, I think. It was definitely a 49.
It was a 49.7.
Okay.
Martin Sanchez, Games' driver of the day. I don't know.
He had a very good drive, man.
He did. But
I think you have to give it Mickelson for domination.
Yeah, that was a very dominant performance in the rain.
Safety car to deal with and a red flag to deal with, and dealt with it all quite easily.
And just pulled away of everyone, and that's what Ferrari wanted in today's Grand Prix. Spoilers, but they didn't get.
Spoilers.
At least one Ferrari wins, and the other is down in
first and fifth.
It's very good.
It's better than they do in real life.
Yeah. As Mickelson.
Mateusz Jogel missed out on that fastest lap point by
1/10,
8/800ths of a second.
Yes.
So Mateusz Jelinek will take that for Mercedes and add to the 4 points he gets for P8. But a really good result for Aston Martin, 2nd and 3rd, and that's going to give them a huge jump in that Constructors fight with AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri only getting 6 points out of today, and Aston Martin taking a cool 33.
Yes. So, that was the Belgium Grand Prix. Mikkelsen is our winner for today for Ferrari, and a double podium for Aston Martin. Congratulations for them, of course. They also did have a pretty good race. And yeah, we do not have any interviews, unfortunately. Maybe we're gonna have them in Season 8. Maybe later at the end of the season, maybe before the final, final speeches before the end of the season. Maybe. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Maybe.
But yeah, the rain didn't really come for that.
It didn't stop.
It did, but it didn't really get to a point where the drives were actually faster.
Oh, they were, but not early enough that it was worth a pit stop.
Yeah,
They were
was
maybe
like
5 seconds a lot faster the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's only getting you half a pit stop back.
It was like on the last lap of the race, and that wasn't enough for our drivers to try and make moves on each other for points. But yeah, after that safety car restart, I'm gonna be honest, this red flag was pretty necessary. And yeah, again, congratulations to Mikkelsen for a very dominant drive for Ferrari, and that is going to give him a big haul of points. Also for starting P1, he also gets an additional point for that as well. But yeah, do you have any last words, or should we round things up?
It's always nuts. Why is it always nuts?
I think this was probably the most intense race before the red flag, and after the red flag, it was also pretty insane.
There's just so many people trying to go side by side where you really shouldn't go side by side, and then go, "Oh no, I've lost my front wing." It's like, yeah, no shit.
At least no one
Some of the
died.
crowd's taking that home and mounted it on their living room wall.
At least no one died at Radlon side by side. I'm happy. I'm very happy about that.
Well, she had to take evasive action, but managed to keep it out of Lando Norris's wall.
You're gonna have to see the thing after. Like, that was actually insane. Like, oh my god. I cannot swear on stream, but if I could, I would literally die. In my own words. But yeah, let's stop about that. Yes, that's for another time. So yeah, this was the Belgium Grand Prix. We do hope that you have enjoyed today's commentary and the race. And before we run things off, I would just like to thank our partners, the Discord, the Boldomania, Race Insight, Gridfinder, and JR Designs, because this wouldn't have been possible without them. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you did enjoy the racing, of course, like I said 2 times already, we have PC signups currently open for our 3 divisions. One on Sunday at 4 PM UK time, which was today. One on Saturday, 4 PM UK time as well. And then one on Friday at 7 PM UK time. So you can just sign up and race with us if you really want to. You can also support us on Patreon and donate, and leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it really helps us out. Any last words before we end the stream?
I think I need to lie down after that.
Yeah, I need to drink some water. Water.
Wow.
Water. Water. There we go.
Wow.
The British accent is amazing. It's so unique. It's amazing. But yeah, my name is Kickerlin, but you may also know me as Dino. With me commentating today was Zeke, or Adam Lapidge. And we are gonna see you for another PC1 race next Sunday at the exact same time. And next race is going to be in Bahrain, so we hope that you tune with us on Sunday, and we will see you there. Stay safe and have a good night.
See you later.